Government man. They're on to us.
They're on to us.
Pocket sand. Cha-cha-cha. Squirrel tactics.
I'm glad I haven't had Jared's tattoo equipment at the house for the last 3 weeks because I would have had some prison tattoos. I'm bored.
I got one and it was pre-locked myself down at the house. It's like, I'm gonna do a tattoo today.
What have you done any more since being on lockdown?
No, but I was thinking about it the other day.
Jared, you're real quiet now.
I need to do a skull tattoo.
Much better.
Like, I have a few skull tattoos, but I also need to quit tattooing my thighs because I actually want to get my knees tattooed one day.
Yeah.
I gotta leave some room.
Me too.
Get up in front of the mirror and tattoo your own grundle.
Hagarama 22.
Just hit your undercarriage real well. Oh, so
they call it a taint sleeve.
I'm actually getting soon. It's like supply time's coming up soon since Hagarama's on its way. I have to put a list together. I think all my inks aren't expired, but I just need to get some more tubes, needles, and I think I'm going to buy a Thermofax so I can make decent stencils.
that'd be awesome.
Pretty much everything else.
You're fully ready.
I'm in my tattoo studio right now. I got my printer finally, so I can scan and copy things.
Does it not do Thermofax? How does that work?
I think it works the same as like a thermal printer. Like well, maybe not. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'm gonna look that up now.
Could you just use like that? Isn't it just like that kind of tracing carbon paper type thing, or no?
No, it's like
just get one of those like truck reports that you could draw on that transfers down the transfer copy.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 different. Like, so as you guys can tell, thank you for listening to the Stormwater Creek podcast. We are all remote because
everyone has COVID.
Everyone has had COVID. Jordan has an unconfirmed case.
They said I had the flu last week.
Oh, bullshit. You ain't got the flu anymore.
I just want to say, I felt fine. I raked the yard on Saturday.
I didn't say you didn't feel fine. I just said you have COVID.
No.
Yeah.
And all my COVID tests came up negative.
Oh.
And so did everybody else that was with me.
In your contact. So we've had either cases of the flu
in your mouth so you can be done with it.
COVID across all 4 of us in the last 2 weeks, and have all been banned to our houses. And it's like April of 2020 all over again. But I feel like much better prepared just to be locked in my house for an extended amount of time.
I'm bad luck Brian of the group. Gets COVID, gets locked down, leaves COVID, gets fired.
Yeah. One of us is on the hunt for a new job, and of course, in the most opportune time to not have work and go out and hunt the entire time, you get COVID pretty good. So
it's more of a vehicle situation now. I drove a company vehicle for 8 years, so buying a vehicle in today's economy, or I guess that's an economy, today's just the State of the Union, is a mess.
Yeah. So just no cars to be had. What's that?
I would have hunted this morning.
Oh, I know. I'd like to get out. It's supposed to be cold tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I don't have a vehicle.
I know.
I'll just go walk through Trophy Club with all my gear. Walk to the...
Have an Uber pull up to your house.
You don't have a golf cart anymore. You could just golf cart down there.
I can go get it. I can have it brought to me. Golf cart to Trophy Club Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fit all your stuff on there and the dog.
Come on,
man.
Dog. Just take decoys. Brr, my waders.
There's been ducks pretty regularly at that pond right there near your house.
It's been cold up north. It seems like it's going to get real cold next week again. So I feel like birds are going to push back again. I mean, hopefully we can all get out and hunt maybe next weekend.
Like
And
this coming weekend?
yeah, maybe this coming weekend we can all go hunt
I
again.
kind of want to go kill a deer.
You can do that in February.
It's cooler than duck hunting.
I can't.
now.
I mean, I can, but once all you idiots come out there, it's game over, man.
Well, you can go out. Why don't you do that at the end of the year? What I'd like to do is I'd like to go out to that lake that Jordan and I went and hunted, and I feel like we could definitely set up and be in a position to kill a bunch of birds.
I'm thinking about getting that weekend, for sure.
One of our friends was messaging me today about the hunt you can hunt, the lake you can hunt all day, and he was on ducks today out there. So
I feel like it's gonna turn on.
Joe Pool Lake.
Yeah, Joe Pool
yeah,
or White Rock.
it's definitely White Rock. That place is covered in birds.
Ray Hubbard is where to go.
Covered in birds, and you can find a body or two sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Just depends on what you're trying to get to. But yeah, so we've all been down for the count with COVID. We've all been stuck at home.
I would say down for the count. We've all been fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've all been fine, but down for the count, meaning that we can't really go out and hunt or do anything.
I wasn't.
Don't continue the narrative, man.
I guess
I didn't feel like leaving the house since like Thursday night until
I don't know that
basically
Austin,
today.
I mean, I think Austin, they were just being responsible, having being diagnosed, and they stayed at home to not spread shit, which is, what you're supposed to do.
I had
My guess is he was probably ready to get the hell out of his house after 2 days.
Oh yeah, Lauren brought it home from my timeline was Lauren got it on Friday at work. On Monday she was like, I'm tired and stuff and just blah. And Tuesday she's like, I'm gonna take a test, and she tested positive. I was 100% the whole time, and then Tuesday afternoon ran across a family member who had a rapid test and took it, and it was wildly positive and was fine till midnight Wednesday. Because I woke up like cold sweats.
Yeah.
And then till about 6 p.m. Thursday, so right about 18 hours, I just had a headache, was a little bit nauseous, and my whole body hurt like I'd lost a bar fight and was hungover. Like that's how I felt.
Yeah.
But come Friday morning, I was back to 90%. And then it was either Friday night or Saturday night, I can't remember, of what a couple weeks ago. It was a light switch. Like I drank one of those cherry lime things we have at the house all the time, those sodas. Was drinking one of those and then got in bed and had another one or something, was watching TV and went to taste and was like, well, that's water. Like light switch.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it started to come back.
Your taste and everything?
Started to.
Yeah.
Like we went over to some friend's house for a birthday party Saturday night, and we all had to take a birthday shot. It was Crown. It legitimately could have been water.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was real crazy. I was like, this will be an interesting test. I'll do this. I was like,
Drunk did you get then?
That was the only thing I've drank since December sometime.
You know what I'm talking about, Jordan.
I was gonna say, did you burn one of your cheat days for sober January or whatever?
I mean, yeah, I was gonna do that. I was gonna do no drink January anyways, but then it just seems so pointless to drink anyways because I can't taste it. Like I like beer. I drink beer because I like beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I just wanted to get hammered, I'd just put vodka and some fruit punch and chug it all the time, right?
Like a proper,
obviously. But I like beer, so it just seems pointless for me to drink it if I can't taste it.
I've got I'm 10 days in and no alcohol whatsoever. So it's been a no big deal. And 4 of those days I've been somewhat sick. So yeah, I mean, for me, it hasn't been terrible either with the corona. It just was like probably Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was kind of like I felt fine, and then I felt like shit, and then I came back and felt okay again, and now I'm just kind of dealing with congestion, and that's about it. So I feel like I've got it whipped as well.
Good job, buddy.
During that entire time, I binged watched. Tracy and I caught up on all of Yellowstone, and I'm excited to talk a little Yellowstone with you guys. So if you're listening to this and you are not familiar with Yellowstone and you do not want to have a spoiler, I would suggest, kind of maybe fast forwarding a little bit while we toss some Yellowstone stuff around. So
when whoever edits this, and this is internal, whoever edits this, you can leave this on there, obviously. Put in the show notes, spoiler alert from this point to this point.
Yeah,
will be nice.
Have you seen that thing where people are talking about we should now call conspiracy theory spoiler alerts?
It's pretty good.
I like it. I approve.
So I freaking loved it. It was great.
So was I wrong? It's Sons of Anarchy, Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, I think it's way better than Sons of Anarchy, though.
I liked Sons. I'm not saying it was like monumental, but I liked it.
I just think the acting across the board was the storyline and the dialogue was way better than Sons of Anarchy.
Costner is so badass in it. Dude. He was born for that role.
Oh, I mean, he's just a cowboy through and through. That's just who he is, and so.
He's so good.
I mean, but like Rip, Cole Hauser, that is the greatest transformation, like one of the greatest transformations from what somebody looks like normally to what they look like as a character. I mean, that gets me dazed and confused.
Who's your favorite character?
I love Rip, and I mean, it's just for me, it's really difficult because I'm just like, I like Rip, I like John Dutton, obviously Kevin Costner's character, and I like Casey a lot as well.
I hate Casey's wife.
Oh yeah, she's annoying.
Just like stop. Just stop. Casey can be a bit much. Rip is awesome. I mean, obviously Dutton's awesome, but
yeah. And
like we discussed earlier, that storyline, Jimmy's character, line, his offshoot or whatever you want to call it, that character, that was a well-written character.
When Rip shows up at his trailer the first time, I was just like, oh God, so shit's about to go. What is this? What is this that's about to happen,
But the development and where he ends at season 4, man, like.
One of the better jobs of having a kind of before and after, like he kind of grows up down at the 4 6s,
Yep.
Just his whole like presence, like not even talking, right? Not take all the dialogue out. Just the way he looks on camera is so drastically different.
He carries himself differently.
Carries himself and everything.
Jared, chime in if you want.
I don't watch that show.
Oh my God.
Jimmy, like you said, his storyline started off as kind of like this.
Just a piece of garbage.
Meth like kind of abused. C kind of, storyline. It wasn't anything that was like super like, oh man, this is going to be something great to keep track of. And they definitely developed him well, and the way he was written. And that guy, I mean, I don't want to say he was like this in-depth actor because I don't know that his acting's been super, super amazing, and I don't know if anyone disagrees with that. I mean, he did a good job, but I don't think, man, this dude fucking needs an Oscar. But he did that character justice, and he played it well, and he played a dude who was super uncertain, and he grew into being kind of a badass, like not like we're Yellowstone guys.
He's not Rip, mind you.
Yeah, we're not going to kick people's asses and kill.
But he's just a stand-up cowboy.
That character is tougher than. I mean, he's putting in hard day's work, being a cowboy on a ranch out in West Texas. So
like that, like watching at the end of what was that, kind of towards the end, middle to end of season 4, where they're really like diving into him, like all of his progression at the 4-6s. I mean, just what a crazy, like crazy progression of like how difficult that must be to do that on a day in and day out basis.
Yep.
I mean, it just beats the shit out of you. I'm excited for the 4-6 spinoff, especially because when we drove past it, Jordan and I drove past it on the way from Sandhill Cranes. They were filming out there, so that was kind of cool.
You see them out there?
Yeah.
I drove past Friday.
I didn't see like camera crews. We saw that there was clearly like production crew signs pointing this way, and there were security guards like not letting people into certain areas of the 4-6s that you drove past. So you could, I'm sure if you drive past like a production like that, you can tell, even if you don't see any camera gear or any of that shit, you can tell that there's a production going on out there. So
have you started 1883?
I'm about to.
I've gotten into it.
Do you have Paramount Plus?
I have a login for it.
Okay. I think we're going to start that next. You like it?
We're 4 episodes in now. The first 2 is kind of like, what? I'm into it now.
Yeah. I think the 5th one drops to last night, right?
I don't think, because last night we watched the 4th one.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 4th. We watched the most recent one last night.
Yeah.
I'm into it. It's you can see the tie. It's his grandfather.
It's played by Sam Elliott, right?
No, it's played by Tim McGraw.
Okay.
Sam Elliott's like the guy helping them head west.
Because they in season 4 of Yellowstone, they cut into there's crossover.
Yep.
Well, they give you
Tim McGraw.
Yeah, they're trying to sell the show more.
Yeah.
And so they hey, here's something that kind of ties into the theme of our episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. They were interesting clips, but I'm like watching this modern day show. It's like, all right, dude. And me and Austin talked about it. Like, they would not shut up. Every break there was a commercial for it. They're just pounding this show down my throat. And I was like, I'm good. I don't want to watch it. Like, maybe Yellowstone is done, then I'll go back because I won't have anything to watch. But
what about this whole season 4 where the Parker Haribo or whatever her name is, the blonde chick that he fucks.
So I said to Lauren, I said, maybe I'm just cold, and maybe Dutton's just a literally a good old dude. Why does he care?
That Tracy, Tracy was the same way. She was just like, this bitch broke she's like, why is she like, I don't understand that storyline at all. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I know he's telling Beth, like, you setting her up for this is cruel. We don't play that. But at the end of the day, like, dude.
But before all that, the fact that he ends up like befriending this girl and like sleeping with her
in court.
I don't understand. It's just so out of character. Like, him banging the governor of Montana makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
They're both,
middle-aged.
They're both,
successful
widowers,
exactly.
And so, but all of a sudden this crazy ass, environmentalist, it was such a weird storyline for me, interweaved into that whole thing, that it just kind of was crazy. So I can imagine it's such a different for me than it was for you guys, because I watched all 4 seasons in 72 hours. I watched basically let's see, it's 10 episodes. We attacked it like very few people attack television.
Yeah.
And it was good just to watch it back to back. Just you just kind of roll right through with no waiting, which is awesome. But Yeah, that storyline was kind of crazy. I'm with you. I hate Casey's wife. You know,
Just
like
constant whining.
this fucking you bitch and complain because you got to go. You get to live in that place, and you're like, oh, it's just too big. You know, like it's evil here. What are you talking about? You know.
But then she was complaining before they went there that things were bad. Like there's no winning.
I don't get it. You know, she's just a complainer. You know. I liked it when Tate killed that dude. That was pretty cool.
It was pretty serious though, when like the kid's hiding under the bed.
You're freaking out.
Casey goes in there, he's like, he ain't gonna get any better underneath there, and like drags him out and he's just squealing. That's like this is fucking funny. Like this isn't some big serious traumatic scene. Like this is hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, get out from underneath the goddamn bed, you know?
Yeah, that woman's an enabler.
What do you guys think about Jamie?
Jamie should be dead a long time ago. He's such a I get the take of him being angry that Dutton hid all this from him, but this narrative that has been tried to be spun a couple times that it was all manipulative and he's only as successful as he is because John made him that way. Like, no, you were offered a hell of an opportunity with a family with money and you did what you wanted to do. And yeah, there's some, taking care of your family in the middle of it. And he became a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
The whole abortion thing, I hate. I thought was, I don't understand why Beth is so pissed at him. I mean, I understand why she's mad at him. But just the fact that she just like has no, like.
It's because she's sterile.
I know why. Right. And the fact that he hid it from her was horrible. There's no doubt. I'm not trying to downplay that at all. But I just kind of think like he didn't hit you and cause you to lose a baby, which caused you to be sterile. You came to him asking for his help to get an abortion. He's a fucking 15 or 16-year-old kid trying to help his sister out. And in an attempt, misguided or not, to try to keep things under wrap for the betterment of his family, takes her to an Indian clinic. I mean, she's got some responsibility in that, and the fact that she just has no willingness to kind of give at all on that. Not to mention, like Tracy said, the fact of the matter is that the world is a better place because Beth Dutton doesn't have a child.
I don't know. I like Beth.
Beth she's a crazy bitch, that's for sure. I do like her, but
I don't know. Beth, there's a lot of the time she's super annoying to me. Like just like Rip's a patient dude, like as far as his character goes with her. But she's just really annoying.
Yeah.
She's a little over the top.
What do you think about Teeter?
So I mean, you're married to her, you tell me.
She's a mess,
You get it now, Dave? Did you get it?
I can see.
Lauren Brown.
The other storyline that didn't make any sense was letting the barrel racers in.
And they're still there.
Yeah, like after, that's the one thing I didn't understand in this last season.
I thought Dutton said GTFO.
Yeah, same. And then they weren't. And they're just there.
Teeter had a solid argument because she's branded and everything she said, which Rip agreed is she was first to work, last out. She's branded. She did her shit. Teeter absolutely deserves to be there.
Yeah.
The barrel racers need to kick rocks.
I didn't understand why they were, even before they got kicked out, why they were allowed to, like, why would they be able to stay there?
Absolutely.
I get like for a weekend or partying, and if they came and went and,
or did something.
Well, especially the other girl that Ryan Bingham was banging the whole time, like
blonde. Yeah. She's still there.
And especially after, like, to go from one to the other in the same bunkhouse.
Done.
what are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here. You know, like.
And then the dark haired one playing all that shit with Jimmy when he comes back.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't believe there was even a second of pause. He was like, "You told me to if I left, it was over," and she did. So I was yelling at the TV like, "You owe her no explanation,
Yeah.
whatsoever."
No. And not to mention, she's horrible. I hated her too.
Horrible.
I hated her before he left to go to the Sixers.
And I get that she took care of him with a broken back, but she threw out a mandate when he had to go take care of shit.
And if it wasn't for her dumbass, he wouldn't have gotten back on a horse and and hurt himself the second time.
Truth.
You know?
And the vet chick who looks just like her, obviously. She's great.
I loved her.
She's great.
So when they came back and she fought that bitch.
Good.
I love the argument about beans in the chili.
It's good. It's good.
That was good. Ryan Bingham was pretty good in it. I mean, he had his moments of like
moments.
I just am always a little like
in the beginning he was kind of a piece of shit.
I'm always put off by that whole like cowboy singer, like him always playing his guitar, like like they're all eating and he's just in the field and just playing his guitar. It's kind of annoying, you know.
I agree.
I feel like his acting is okay.
Yeah.
But to put him in the show, there was no way he wouldn't be a guy who plays music on the show.
Yeah, you put in somebody like that to be a musician, you know.
But as far as being like a horse riding kind of cowboy dude, I mean, he's from New Mexico, you know. Like I know he spent some time out in West Texas, you know. Like
he looks the part.
I'll give him that. Like he's done a decent job of like portraying a ranch hand, you know, on the show. And ever since he got his second chance, he's kind of got in line.
Yeah.
You know, like the beef between him and Lloyd was over a woman.
Yeah.
Which should have been gone.
But I knew as soon as he went to the store and like, you know, it's how TV shows work. They're like, they focus on the gun, but the first shot was the guitar. And I'm like, oh, Lloyd's going to go get him a guitar and brings the guitar and they're cool. You know, like, all right, everyone's on the same page now.
I expected both. Like a gun to appear later.
Maybe. But I was going to say, what happens,
we're
and if Taylor Sheridan, like I said, is anything like Kurt Sutter with his writing, everything's kind of cool right now. Some shit's about to go down.
The kid's going to die.
Somebody kind of is going to die next season.
The kid,
Tate.
No, whatever the baby Rip.
No, he's not going to die.
Boy,
no, you know who's going to die? You know who's going to die is Casey's wife.
No, but at the end, he said they were breaking up, basically.
No, he had a vision of them at the end of them. That was what his vision was.
But you know, his ex-girlfriend, who was the chick on the ranch, was in 2 episodes prior.
That's why I say she's gonna the wife, Monica, is gonna die.
Or he's just gonna leave her.
Why? He's not gonna leave her.
She's too whiny.
He's not you, Austin.
Whoa.
He's Casey. He's not gonna leave Monica. He loves Monica.
What's this woman's deal? Why is she talking to me?
Yeah, exactly. What's the bitch's deal? I think 100% Monica dies. I'm not sure if Tate dies or not, but
no, man, Tate's gonna turn into a little psycho killer.
Dude, bring it on. I don't know what they're gonna do to fight.
This show's gonna spin off into fucking Halloween 4.
I don't understand how they're gonna fight this whole airport, this whole thing. You know, like who are they gonna kill?
I'm just excited to see Beth get prosecuted next season and see what happens with her going to jail.
Yeah, that's what I kind of expected as how they wrapped up the thing with Jamie. Like,
but she set herself up in case she had to kill Jamie. She was prepared to lose it all, but she didn't have to, and she was perfect with getting all the pictures of the bodies and him carrying a body. They own him again.
Oh no, I know that.
She's not going to jail.
I'm not saying from the
Are you talking
market equities is going to prosecute her for?
It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a train wreck but it's going to make a bunch of episodes, but she ain't going to jail.
No, I can't imagine she goes to jail. But okay, so who's going to be the governor of Montana?
I think it's 2 or 3 seasons still. They can milk that for so long.
But I think that's going to.
I don't think Jamie or Dutton will be it.
I think it's 100% John Dutton.
You do? I don't see it happening.
Well, I agreed with you. Now they kind of set up for her to Parker, the little environmentalist bitch, to get off with a very light sentence. But I thought that was the setup to kind of push him into, he's going to do it. They're not going to give it to Jamie, regardless of the fact that they own him, because, I don't know.
No way. I agree with that, but I don't think it'll be Dutton either.
But you put him in as the governor, and I don't know. I'm excited though for season 5, even though technically Paramount has not ordered season 5 yet, but everybody said season 5 is already written. All right, one last thing and we'll move on. What about Taylor Sheridan's ability to ride a horse?
He's Texas boy.
He owns the 4.6s now.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he all of that stuff he did was all him riding and showing horses. He actually shows cutting horses.
Yeah.
I don't think he owns all the 4.6s.
No, he's part of the real estate group and is a majority holder of the real estate firm.
I don't think they bought all the ranch.
But he's a majority owner of the group that owns it.
That owns a portion of it.
Yeah. The portion in Guthrie.
The 4.6 is the biggest ranch in Texas.
Yeah. It's 2 big pieces, right?
It's a couple big pieces.
Okay. I know there's one that's way up north, and then that one.
And do they own the town too? The part with the town, because it has its own town, store, and school.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't the 4.6 isn't it take up the entire county of whatever county that exists in or something?
I'm not sure 100%. I just don't think they own all of it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I heard they bought a portion of it.
Yeah. No, but it was great. I highly recommend it.
Makes me want to watch it again.
It's really good. I mean,
the good part is after this, I don't have to watch it.
Yes,
you need to watch it. We covered nothing basically.
Yeah, we scraped the surface.
Yeah,
it sounds real good.
You should watch it.
Jordan, you would love this show.
Anywho, let's move on.
All right, so
if anything like Sons of Anarchy, probably not.
I don't think it's like Sons of Anarchy.
I like Sons of Anarchy, as we
I quit
said.
watching Sons of Anarchy like halfway through the 2nd season.
I mean, you're gonna get a garbage season in there on occasion. But anywho, what's next on the docket?
Well,
Jared looks completely tuned out.
So while the 3 of us, he doesn't even exist anymore.
Can I stop watching?
I'm reading about the 4.6s. Yeah, it takes up properties. Let's see. Dixon Creek section spans 108,000 acres of land in Carson and Hutchinson counties. Let's see. Near Guthrie, it's a total is 350,000 acres. That's a lot.
It is the biggest ranch, right, in Texas?
King may be bigger.
I don't think King's bigger.
I don't think the King's bigger anymore.
The King Ranch, 825,000 acres.
You have the top 5 ranches in the state of Texas. Look that shit up, Jamie.
Kennedy Foundation 4.6s. What's the other one that?
So number one is King Ranch at 825,000. Briscoe Ranch is 640,000. Let's see. Wagner Ranch 535. O'Connor Family Ranch is 500,000. Hughes Ranch 390,000 acres. Longfellow Ranch 350. Nunley Brothers 301,500 acres.
So 4.6 isn't even the top 5.
Yeah, I thought it was a bigger
Not
name.
acres.
I knew King was top of the list.
278,000 acres. 4.6 is 275 acres according to this top 10 list, and that is 7 months ago.
Yeah, King Ranch
that's
is
probably after it
4.
got cut up, though.
I'm sorry.
That's probably after it got cut up. If it was
Yeah, maybe.
7 months ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anywho,
Jones Family Ranch is number 10 at 255, South Texas near Corpus Christi.
Joe family. Wow. I bet they got some nil guy.
Neat.
Jordan, you went on a charity hunt or helped guide a charity hunt. How was that? Pretty good weekend for you guys?
It wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. It's always you always feel good after you do it. It's anyone that's worked with a bunch of kids out at a ranch, especially young boys, it's kind of a lot to deal with and trying to get them success and
A lot of energy.
Taking someone with a lot of energy and try to set them at a deer stand and try to get them success and them talking loud and you being like, hey, and then sometimes that hunt's more of a let the kid talk to you thing too, like it's kind of a different way of hunting, I guess you should say. And it was one of those hunts where I'm sure anyone that's an actual hunter that listens to us that hunts enough will know what I'm talking about. And me and Grinch experience this. Most of us, everywhere we went, it's doe only youth, and everywhere we went, we saw bucks. And that's it. Like we saw bachelor groups of bucks rolling around together, chilling, and no does whatsoever. There was 6 boys and only 3 were successful. So,
Wow.
I can make all the excuses I want about why we weren't successful. I mean, the deer just didn't show up. They didn't play the game with us. And,
yep.
You only get one day to hunt with these kids. It's not like you get like a second chance and
Yeah.
going off of whatever you can do. I felt like I put me and my kid in 2 really good stands that should have produced, and it produced deer both times, but they were all bucks. I even had it was a little young, but a pretty nice 8-point at the first morning or the morning, and a little spike. We were gonna let him shoot the spike, but the spike was just way too young. It wasn't a cow horn spike. It was just a little spike.
Baby.
He kept on asking, like, I thought we could shoot spikes, and I'm like, that guy, I don't know. And maybe someone knows better than me, but I've always heard 2 different things of, like if you get a young spike, they still have a chance to become something good, but if they're a cow horn spike and are super long spikes, then he's probably never going to be anything.
No.
So
Hard to say. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know I'm not that into deer genetics and stuff. And I've heard people be very passionate about both ways of thinking,
Oh, I was emphatically told this weekend that there's no way to kill Texas whitetail with 243. So,
Okay.
Emphatically told that.
I could smoke one with a 22 if it was legal.
You grab them and smack them around a little bit.
I've killed 2 bucks with 223, which I 100% don't recommend, but it's wildly possible.
100%.
I mean,
so it's just I say that to say that there's lots of old dudes and everybody's got their opinions, and deer genetic opinions are even worse than firearm caliber opinions, like just all over the place.
Are talking us, it's funny because the rifle I used as a kid was a 243, and drop deer in the tree. You might not have ever heard this, but my first rifle was a 243.
But
Papa didn't give Daddy, but Daddy did give it to me.
Yes.
It never gets old.
Never.
But yeah, it was 243 is I think a fantastic Texas.
It's 100% fine. There's zero wrong.
I think I would go as far as being fantastic. I mean, for most Texas hunters, you're going to shoot around 100 yards. Like it's a pretty big circle, but around 100 yards. It has tons of power, and you can nail a good 243 into a nice little tight pattern, and double lung them. I mean, like they'll drop fine. I've never had to chase one of my deer that I shot with my 243.
It's all about shot placement. It
Exactly.
always is.
I may have had to chase the deer, sort of.
With the 243?
Well, Abe started it.
With a 308.
Yeah.
That was a problem with shot placement.
Point
Shot
proven.
placement keeps you one with a 7 mag, and if you don't shoot it in the right place, it's still going to walk away.
Exactly.
That's always been one of the funny things. Like someone with like a 300 Win Mag shooting Texas whitetail, and they're like, I just want to knock it down. And it's like, whoa, we're like, you're just aiming in the general direction, like spray and pray.
Yeah.
Take out both its front feet. Like,
Yeah, just saw it in half.
So
crazy.
yeah,
But-
all about
Let's-
shot placement and projectile.
And those kids had a good time, man. Like we had one kid that like we set most the like lunch period sitting with him, trying to get him to shoot a rifle, and he just was like he was having a hard time just pulling the trigger on a target even. And getting over that kind of stuff and trying to be patient with getting that done. It was he didn't get anything, but like I said, 3 of them did, and they were really excited, and everyone had a good time, I think. And we sent them home with like 2 boxes filled with like candy and junk food, Little Debbie's, and we made them elk burgers. One of the guys brought a bunch of elk meat, and we made a bunch of elk hamburgers. They took all the leftovers of that home. I mean, they were bags of sodas and stuff, and they're probably gonna
Maybe I should look for a job as an orphan.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's like a duck hunt in Stormwater Creek.
Yeah. Are they hiring?
But
That's awesome, dude.
that was good. I'm still wasted tired from it, but it was great, man. I really enjoy. I'm glad I got to do it again this year.
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of keeping the train rolling here. One of the things I wanted to get y'all's get your hot take opinion on is the this kind of a ban, not kind of, the actual ban of trail cameras in Utah from basically the end of July through December. I don't know, what's your kind of opinion on it?
So is it can't use them at all, even on private?
Not even on private. No trail cams whatsoever for any reason whatsoever, unless it is a landowner protecting and monitoring their property.
Yeah, that seems like a gray area to me.
100%. 100% gray area. Because if it's on your property, are you not monitoring your property?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to monitor this elk trail. This deer trail.
Get 2 of your buddies to stomp around the camera a few times. Like, look, I've got people I'm monitoring.
Yeah.
If you really want to be unscrupulous,
I just think it's like I can get the. I've been doing some reading on it, and I get the premise that it is.
They say it inhibits fair chase.
I can see that, but
It's a stretch to me.
It is a real big squint your eyes stretch. the thing that I would have rather seen would have been something that said, okay, you can't use a cell phone camera.
Sure. Okay. I can support that.
You know,
If you're that worried about if there's elk being, if it's
somebody
concerned
sitting in a
about an elk
truck,
population, yeah. Oh, the camera goes off. Let's march around this ridge.
go
and
up
they
that
should be
way
right
and
there.
go kill one. Yeah, that
Sure.
I could 100% get behind that as a, hey, you can't do this, But to have one with internal storage, you got to get there. You got to put the thing out, and then you got to get back there, and so it's just like I
And
don't.
how many problems do you have with these things constantly?
Exactly.
And you have to put it in a good spot. Like you get at some spots and you don't get anything, and you got to figure out where to move them. You got to figure out where deer and animal are.
I just think it's a step further. And one of the articles I read about it, that was the big concern was, hey, these DIY guys who get 3 weekends, a weekend a year, 2 weekends a year, people like us who roll out and hunt out of state like that. And let's say it took us 10 years to draw a tag and we roll out, we throw some cameras out there. I mean, that's just helping us be more successful. I mean, and if it is something, maybe. I mean, it's like you said, it's not making you more successful. It's not like a guarantee, like, oh, you've got a deer on camera. It just means that one's in the area. But who knows what other extenuating circumstances could have occurred to push it out of that area.
And I don't disagree with what you're kind of trying to get to. It's like people that think that deer corn is the end all be all. Like you put a feeder out, you go sit in a box, and all the deer walk out to that one feeder, and you shoot deer like fish in a barrel. And it's not that way at all. Like they might be at another feeder, or they might be at a neighbor's feeder. They might be at acorns that are dropping. Like deer like this,
I'd much rather eat acorns.
Way better than deer corn. So if you have a good crop of acorns hitting the ground, the deer that be on those acorns, and so on and so forth.
The only thing that a deer feeder really and truly gives you a giant advantage over is the ability to kill raccoons
and pigs.
Yep. And most of the time, like, I mean, if you're hunting a big buck, it attracts does to it. And then it might get that doe the buck in the area.
Yep.
And then you might have a chance of him coming out of the brush or trying to get at the doe. And then maybe you could be successful with that. But again,
that may occur twice. That may occur twice in a year.
Yeah.
That's agreeing with all these points. That's what I was going to say is, what we have, how many cell phone cameras amidst this group right now that have offered 0 deer killing opportunities this year? Cell phone cameras.
Yeah.
Like, according to the logic on that and feeders, we should have killed pretty much every deer in the vicinity.
Yeah.
But we could not kill a one. So cell phone cameras are wildly convenient and they're really fun.
Yeah.
Regular cameras, they give you an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
Well,
our lease is a prime example of talking about corn and cameras. We have at minimum, I know there's a minimum of 15 feeders running right now on that property. 3 of them being mine. I didn't kill a deer under any of those feeders this year. It attracts deer. It's a food source. It's not a primary food source by any means. And as acorns, we're in oak and pine, and these bottoms with all these white and red oaks. As soon as those acorns drop, our feeders are useless.
Yeah,
it's a pig. They're pig attractants.
Yep.
I can have 100 cameras out. It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. This deer was here for the last 4 days in a row. Had that exact situation. Like, cool. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm gonna take that deer. Never showed up. Any deer.
Yeah.
Trail camera. It's hunting, not killing. I mean, all right. Somebody tracks your vehicle. Say, like, all right, he went to work the last 3 days in a row. Why didn't he show up today? Oh, he had a doctor's appointment. He worked from home. Like, who knows? There's just
Carburet gun.
yeah. It's who knows? It's a camera is only useful for like, all right, there's something in the area. But elk will run a 5 miles for the drop of a hat. Whitetail, you got 2 miles roughly, give or take. It just, I don't know. I get the idea behind it, but I think the sentiment is lost.
Like most things the government does.
Yeah. Well, everybody thinks Texas is like, oh, they run feeders and cameras and all this shit. They're just killing deer. Well, yeah, there's a whole mess of deer killed in Texas. There's also a whole mess of deer in Texas.
Largest whitetail herd in the country.
Exactly. So maybe it's not just our feeders. The 10 point I missed with my bow walked past the feeder. And the reason I missed him was because I'd ranged all around the feeder thinking he's going to hang out for a snack. That corn might as well have been pea gravel. So by that same logic, my feeder didn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
I missed it because I missed range because he didn't care about the food because he was running, which is the primary time to hunt. So take the feeder away. Take it out of the equation. There was a camera there. What good did that camera do me? Zero, because I saw that buck on camera sitting in the tree stand that night because I walked out there, pulled the card, got in the stand, and that's how I spend my time is looking at pictures.
Yep. Well,
I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is too, even if you have a cell cam, and let's say you're at a camp not far off, your cell cam goes off, and you don't use a cell cam for a doe, right? I mean, we can I'm sure there's people out there, it's not 100% accurate, but most people are after a big buck.
Sure.
Your chances of getting a buck on camera, then getting out to that spot immediately to shoot that buck and him still be in that area and not cruising through is like probably 2%.
Hell, cruising through whitetail. I mean, if we're just talking about whitetail, cagey ass deer. I mean, they're 200 yards out. They're like, nah, man, I don't know what that is, but I ain't cool with it.
Yeah, you're not sneaking up on a white-tailed deer. I mean, your best bet is you could get a couple 100 yards away, 100 yards away with the wind in your favor, or if you've got some cover to be in. But outside of that,
good luck.
Good luck.
The only bucks I really ever see like chilling in the same spot and walking around in the open, the only bucks I ever see is squirrely little young bucks.
Yeah,
spindly little, like probably in 2 years that'd be good. And when that 2 years hit, they're gonna be back in the thick brush, watching the stupid young bucks
eating acorns. Absolutely.
Getting giant.
And I think that goes a lot for a lot of other animals in North America, especially, like, will it give you a little more success? Yes. Technology should help you if you use it correctly.
Yeah,
maybe.
I said a little bit more.
Maybe.
I said a little bit more. So yeah, maybe is what I'm saying. It you have a benefit, yes, but is it going to make you 100% successful every time you go out? No, not a chance. There's no way that a camera gives you any bit of a hard edge of like
even when we went down to Harper, I mean, we didn't have I mean, granted, we've been down there a few times, and I assume if anybody's hunting an area, they're going to be familiar with where they're hunting. But Austin went out and kind of scouted, and he's like, oh, this is where we're going to set you up. This will be a good spot, like looking for trails, like no cameras. We found a spot, and I think we all saw deer that morning. I shot a doe that morning. Lauren saw a bunch of deer where she was sitting at, and she was just posting up in some trees, like the camera is a handy tool for sure, especially when you're covering a lot of ground. I think, at the least,
sure,
it's a handy tool, and at the farm, it's handy to just kind of have an idea of what's going on. But I mean, hunting is
fun.
Yeah. I mean, but as far as what Utah is saying, and like, no, you can't use those at all anymore. Like, you're gonna have to do this the old school way and just kind of go out and track. And it's like, dude, that's like, I've got a job, like I've got to drive 2 hours to get out to this spot and then hike in an hour or so to try to find an animal. And then by that point, I have to stop hunting at a certain time, maybe, like that's just, they're hindering the the average Joe hunter, the blue collar worker who's hunting on the weekends, and the guys who have the money to do the expensive hunts and shit like that are the guys who
God.
From it,
Yeah. I think
all it does is increase and this may be a stretch, is increase guide fees, because big outfitters are going to pay these young kids $10 an hour, be like, find out for tomorrow.
You're going to be my camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like big crane outfitters and geese outfitters, they give these kids a cheap ass work truck and be like, go find birds.
Mm-hmm.
Drive around, find birds.
Well,
whose land it is, call me, let me know.
They call the landowner like, hey, we'll give you $1,000 for 2 days of hunting. They take their clients out there, they shoot the birds. That's how it works. Or Panassi out in West Texas talked about that. That's how it works with them. That's how it's going to start working with big game if cameras aren't used. Which, I guess it's 6 1 half dozen another, but
it doesn't. The only time it affects somebody like us is if we're going to go out there and hunt. I just think it's just kind of. I think it's dumb for.
I think it's one of those things. It's a easily thing to look at and probably get that taken away, and then to go the extreme of what could happen. All of a sudden, they're going to go, okay, well now you can't hunt on a game trail that you found tracks that look like there's scat on it that's 2 days old, because, it's going to give you too much success. I know that sounds dumb, but I'm just trying to be grossly over, saying what they want to, what they're trying to do. Just trying to make more and more difficult for people to be successful.
Yep.
Is there people out there that might be using it,
unscrupulously? Absolutely.
But
there's people in Texas who do that. There's people who do everybody. There's always pieces of garbage everywhere, no matter what. People are going to take advantage of it. Look at this is going to increase poaching. The people who are already breaking the law don't care about the laws in the first place. It's like
exactly.
Gun ownership and gun registration, which we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but making more gun laws doesn't make people who don't give a shit about gun laws in the first place give a shit. They just, they don't even know. Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't conceal carry in this building. Okay, well, I don't think the person who planned to come shoot up in the first place cares about a piece of paper on the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't going to go,
this isn't the spot after all.
I saw that 30-06 sign and decided to turn around.
Man, I don't think this is the spot. So anybody who's willing to do bad stuff is going to do bad stuff in general.
Exactly.
Do I think the trail camera thing's a huge deal? Not really. Do I think it's kind of shitty? Yeah.
I'm with you. I feel that way.
But I also agree with you on the principle of a death of 1,000 cuts. It's just another cut.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Because it's just it just is harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder.
Once you give it away, you ain't never getting it back.
Yeah. Well, and
you talk to people that don't know anything, that never.
That's not a big deal.
And they go, they put cameras up, they see where the deer are, and they go in there and they just kill a bunch of deer, and that's how it works. And people go, that makes sense that's how it works, because they don't know.
Yeah.
If
that was true, Texas should have 0 deer.
Exactly.
I think I'd imagine the New Jersey cat lady thinks of a trail camera as nothing but a Ring doorbell camera.
Basically.
And that you just see the UPS man show up and it's like, oh, well, that he's there. Yeah. I think that but it's also, like you said, the perfect analogy of you can have a Ring doorbell camera. You can watch the UPS delivery man deliver your package. You can also watch that idiot take it and run off with it.
Totally.
It doesn't prevent anything. People are still going to do it. So
no, it doesn't matter.
Well, and this kind of leads us to our main topic of the night we wanted to discuss, which was on I guess it was episode 3. It's episode 304, The Fish Shack's Revenge, Tiki Christmas Family Feud, on the MeatEater podcast. It's about an hour and 30 minutes into the podcast. Give the whole thing a listen to. But if you wanted to jump to the part we're about to talk to specifically, then at about an hour and 28 minutes, an hour 30 minutes into the podcast, where Matt Ranella and Steve Ranella start to discuss an article that Matt Ranella wrote, I believe last year, right? And was taken down off the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Am I saying that right?
I don't think it was Black Rifle, but yes, I forget where it was. It was taken down.
It was taken down. And the genesis of this was the fact that social media.
It might be, he did an article that was late this last year, and I think maybe that's what it's.
Yes, it was taken down.
Was it Black Rifle Coffee Company or was it Free Range?
It was Free Range.
Free Range, yeah. And it basically just talks. The article's talking about the fact that social media is ridiculous for hunting and killing hunting and should not. It is.
It looks like on Free Range.
Free Range is back up. I can't imagine it wouldn't be after the podcast. So.
There's a snippet they have in here that says, if this content looks familiar, it's because we posted this Matt Ranella op-ed 2 weeks ahead of time. Our intention was to drop it time to the MeatEater podcast embedded below, so episode 304, where Matt and Steve get into the value of social media in hunting.
That sounds like pandering because somebody called you out.
Do what?
That sounds like pandering because someone called you out, but what do I know?
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Matt's got this long article, and they discuss it on the podcast, and I don't know. I feel like the second I listened to it, me and Austin discussed and over the phone, and I was kind of changes my opinion about some things a little bit. I mean, I know specifically for myself, I had this discussion. I don't have an Instagram anymore, and I hadn't had Facebook longer than I haven't had that. But I had, for maybe the last year or two of when I had Instagram, it was always like, I've got to get a good picture of like this fish that I've caught. And I got to make sure my content looks cool. So like maybe some companies will like what I do on the internet, you know, and like I know where some fishing spots are. And I've met a couple people through Instagram because I fish and they fish. And it just became like this weird, I thought kind of like unhealthy obsession with like trying to like show the world like, oh man, I'm this cool hunter or fisherman, you know, and I posted hunting stuff too. And I even got griped at for posting hunting stuff by people, which was ridiculous. But it finally hit the point where I was like realizing I spent so much time on social media and like not like being in the moment anymore as far as, you know, even going out and fishing or hunting or doing something. And I've found that I enjoy that stuff a lot more now. You know, now like I don't have a reason like, oh, we're going to go duck hunt this weekend. I got to make sure I get some cool pictures of us in the hunting blind and stuff. So I like have something cool to post. Like that stuff used to be on my mind going out to like go hunt and fish and stuff. And that's wasn't really the reason for it. You know, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I know we post on our page and I have it sometimes in my mind to snap a picture or two, but not nearly as much as I used to, you know, like in the kitchen and stuff, you know, like we did the duck breast with the beef fat. We made that grind, you know, took some pictures. I took a picture of the slider I made. Like I just am not on my phone much these days. And when I am, I legit, the most time I spend on the phone is in our group chat.
Yeah. I absolutely see the point. I you know, and kind of you're talking from the perspective of, you know, obviously personal, but that's the kind of the Matt Ranella perspective for those of you who have not listened to the MeatEater podcast about this is that's his perspective, right? That it's transforming the way that people spend their time outdoors instead of focusing on hunting and fishing.
I can't remember if he uses the actual adjective, if he says is ruining hunting. I don't remember if he said that or not. He's essentially his whole argument, like you said, is social media is not a good thing for hunting and hasn't been
No.
good.
And he also has some pretty hot take opinions on R3, which if anybody's listening going, what the hell's R3? It's recruit. What is that? Recruit, renew,
reactivate,
recruit, and
root.
what is R3? Let's see if we can pull this up real fast.
Getting more people to hunt.
Retain, recruit,
Retain.
reactivate, retain.
Retain, yeah. So
As far as
also think
branding
that's
and
stupid.
companies and stuff goes, and like commerce, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a way to sell more stuff and more things, and that's his point. And I get what you're saying, Jared, and I think you're absolutely right that you spend if that's your take and that's what you're doing is you're in the outdoors, you're hunting and fishing for the maybe even majority purpose of trying to capture that to then put that onto social media, then I think you're doing it for the wrong reason altogether. I mean, we are a hunting and fishing podcast, an active social media account that tries to share hunting and fishing content. So this is a little bit, I kind of feel in a weird spot because
No.
I'll get it. Yeah.
You'll
So
finish
I'll
it.
say
I've
that
got something to say about that.
I feel weird about saying that I'm on kind of Matt's side about that because we do that and it's a weird spot, but we also are not going into the woods. We didn't start Stormwater Creek to go out into the woods. We were doing that already. And wanted to share this.
Are different than what he's pointing out a little bit. I don't think our intention has ever been with this podcast to find the people who don't hunt and say, "Hey, man, you can do this too. Come do it. Hey, and spend money on this."
It has been.
Huh?
I mean, I think it's been to try to help get people into the outdoors and to share that.
I feel like, in my perspective, with joining the podcast, because I haven't been on since day one, was, hey man, I want to talk with my friends about stuff that I enjoy, and hopefully people who like the same stuff we like watch this and either are entertained by it, or maybe they learn something, or they hear somebody speak on a subject. We've had fishermen on, we've had other hunters on, and we talk about different kinds of hunting. And for a guy who's still pretty green to hunting, in my opinion, I've just scratched the surface of what you can do. This would be the kind of podcast that would be helpful for me as far as an educational value, but I'm already kind of in it. I wouldn't expect not knowing shit about hunting or fishing. And I love our podcast and we do fun shit, but I wouldn't expect this would be the podcast for me,
Yeah, you didn't just wake up
different as far as hearing Matt's opinion versus what we do and what I feel like we do.
I hear what you're saying. You're talking about the fact that this isn't like somebody didn't go, hey, you know what? I was watching F1 racing on Netflix, and one of the things that came up was hunting, the MeatEater show, and I have never done that. I clicked on it, watched it, wanted to learn how to start doing it, and then downloaded the Stormwater Creek podcast to learn how to hunt and fish. No, I mean, I'm with you there. It's I just think the fact is that we like to share what we do in the outdoors, regardless of the fact that this podcast is here, regardless of the fact that there's an Instagram account, a YouTube channel. We'd still be doing this. We'd still be going and duck hunting and doing all the same things we do. It wouldn't be for outside consumption to see about it.
And that's when that came out and I listened to that podcast, be it the MeatEater one. I thought a lot about it, because his take is, in my opinion, I think there's some naivety about it to a degree, where he sees that social media is 100% purely I don't know a better word than quote evil.
Yeah.
His opinion's pretty, I
But-
guess, demonizing of what's. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying social media is healthy. I tend to agree it's awful, and as a whole, it's the worst thing that's happened to society. But that's a whole nother rant. But it did make me think that yes, everything Abe said. We're an active podcast. We're an active social media participant. But his demonization is running around the fact that there's a lot of people out there, and I agree with him on this, that have some interest in the outdoors and have pursued this interest more so because of what they see happening in social media versus for themselves.
Yeah.
They see that, okay, I should go kill a big deer so I can put it on social media and Sitka will give me a promo code or whatever, right?
Or I'll get a bunch of likes.
Or I'll get a bunch of likes and then I'll become an influencer and then I'll become pro staff. Cool. That's all. Like whatever. But if his complaint is surrounding that, which I 100% agree with.
Yeah.
And to circle back, we were saying, us being immersed in that situation. Circle back.
Yeah. What up, Jim Pulaski?
Yeah, I'm going to circle back on that. I did think a lot about it. And, and I talked with Lauren about it. I said, that made me think. Is what we're doing good?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's not good. It's not quality. We'll tell you.
I'm not talking quality. I mean, quality-wise, oh boy. But we all did this before. We treat this as an opportunity to spend time together and to get to know new people and to get to share ideas and thoughts and just it's storytelling. It's the modern day campfire, if you will, to us. I can confidently say that if we didn't do this, there's a good chance I would spend more time in the woods because I didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Yes. Is it a big number? No, but I think it's fair.
Yeah.
So and that's where I found, myself being okay with what we did based on those opinions, which they're just opinions of his.
Yeah.
But agreeing with those, that's where I found my consolation of like, all right, we do this. Yes, we do share these successes. We also share a lot of failures.
I mean,
a lot. Like
a lot.
We started a fire behind the duck blind and hung out today, or we shot.
Hey,
we didn't shoot any deer.
If he touched on that at all, but the guys who, and I think we've discussed it before, and I won't say specific names, but we've talked about accounts that we see where they kind of recycle the same content and they're glorifying themselves and they're making it seem like it's an easy attainable thing, and they're
just killing deer everywhere.
Constantly. It's very deceiving and misleading for the average person to look at these accounts and be like, man, these guys go out every weekend. They're hunting during the week and they're getting limits of ducks and they've got all the deer. Like I had friends of mine who saw my account when I still had it because it was nothing but fishing. And they're like, dude, is that like your full-time job? Like, and they meant it seriously. Like you're fishing all the time, bro. And I'm like, no, man, I went fishing after work one day and caught like 5 fish and had a couple good pictures that staggered out for a few days,
Yeah.
That's a misconception. I mean, that's the whole thing with social media. I've had this conversation with Steph plenty of times, it's easy to get caught up in that and look at, man, they've got it so good. They're in Spain right now doing some great shit. Like, what do they do for a living? When you realize they did that. That was like a budget trip that they went on. And that's from 2 years ago. And this person's working some shit job just like
there's a trust fund involved.
Well, there's the truth.
I'm sorry.
Or there's a trust fund involved.
Trust fund involved.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole. And I feel like I could start, and I'm starting to get off topic a little bit, but social media is just a fucking mask.
It is absolutely.
I feel, and that's one thing I enjoy about ours is, for the most part, it's kind of no bullshit. When we do something rad, it gets posted. When we do something really stupid, it gets posted.
Yeah.
When we fuck up and we're not doing anything, like we post memes because we're not hunting and we're not killing anything, like I can't post a picture of the ground, like, or I guess we could, like, this is what I did today, and like, there's a hole in the ground, and I didn't shoot anything, but whatever.
If we were being disingenuous, we could go find pictures of all. I killed a shitload of teal during teal season. Was wildly successful, and I'm super happy about it. It was awesome. But I could take all those pictures and be posting them right now.
Yeah.
Be like, man, ducks are moving, and the internet would know no different. Nah, man. Ain't like that.
I shot 3 ducks this year during big duck season. So
yeah,
I'm looking at
one teal and one gadwall under my belt. But we've talked about this, and Austin and me are on the same page for sure. Duck hunting is stupid this year. It's dumb. I've only done it, I don't know, I think maybe 4 times.
You freaking quitter.
I'm not quitting. I'm not into it this year. I like I said, last weekend of this season, I'm going to head out west for the weekend and see if anything happens on some private land. But other than that, dude, I'm hanging out.
What were you going to say, Jordan?
I've got the itch to go chase a few ducks. It just, a lot of dominoes have fallen around me that I
want another doe, dude. Put some more meat in the freezer.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, what were you going to say?
I was looking at our Instagram account, and like the amount of like dead animal pictures we have is like so minimal. Like
vis-a-vis
like going down.
Doing it for the sunset.
I mean, and we killed during till season. Like I went all the way down. Like there was the 2 ducks you killed the other day on a strap, and then there was the heart shot Austin destroyed on that dairy shot, but it's just a heart shot of
obliterated.
Yeah, just obliterated, And then
if we were real social media people, we'd keep reusing that picture over and over and over and over.
And that's what I'm getting at is like we had the teal season that me and Abe went to Louisiana, and we had a shot of our 4-man limit that we got with 2 other guys. We were there, the guide and all that. But we also shot another 2-man limit the day before. Like there's so many opportunities to use that for evil, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better word that Austin couldn't find. Or would you reuse your smart word if you had one?
Smart word.
But the whole thing is that like I feel like, because I thought the same way you did, Austin. I really thought of this and thought of things that was going up with what they were talking about in that, and the fact that I really think that for us, the group, that's not like, we've definitely thought of it before, but we like, I mean, is it worth it? No, like I don't care about that kind of crap. It's the same thing with like, you see the Insta sluts that are, posing with a gun that they look very uncomfortable holding in a thong bikini in a duck marsh with some muck boots on.
Can we discuss Austin's trolling skills the other day, apparently? I don't even have Instagram anymore, but I was very curious about this one, enough to where I got my coworker to pull up his phone so I could look through his Instagram to try to find this stuff.
It just got shut down hard, man. It was an account, and I won't mention it. It's fine. And they'd posted, "Hey, looking for new staff this year, pro staff or something. Looking for it specifically said, looking for huntresses to join our team. Any females, like, hit us up." And I commented and said, "Hey, just in case y'all didn't know, the connotation that huntress surrounds itself with, this kind of seems like you ain't looking for skilled, you're looking for TNA, right?" And I guess there was a huntress who was the contact point. I glossed over that. and she lost her mind, like real bad, lost her mind, and just went through and started posting like responding to me. Which, if she's a true professional, what's number one rule? Don't read the comments.
Don't read the comments.
So she didn't.
If you're gonna read them, definitely don't comment back all spun up.
And she got wildly spun up and went back on my Instagram and found a picture of me and Lauren duck hunting. She was like, "You should tell your girlfriend that she can't hunt because she's a woman, since you're such a sexist and think women can't hunt." And I said, and my response was, "I'll let her know," like, which didn't help. And she just went wheels off after that.
Did you tell Lauren that?
Lauren commented on it after that.
Yeah, that was. Lauren jumped on board pretty quickly.
But then on the original post of the group that was posted looking specifically for huntresses, she went batshit crazy, man. She was just like, "You're so sexist, you think women can't hunt?" And I said, "No one said that, you crazy bitch." I just said, like, I don't think you understand, like, what the connotation around that word is.
Yeah, you know? Nobody sees that word and thinks lady hunter.
Yeah. Or thanks people, like Danielle Halverson and these other people who put in the work and like are professionals, and there's zero pictures of tits and ass on their Instagram. They're hunters.
April Vokey.
Exactly. They're hunters. So, cool. You think the term huntress is for female hunters? That's cool. You should talk to your fellow females about it and take the word back. You should take it back.
We're taking it back, man.
Exactly.
We're taking it back.
But right now, it's not a professional word for a female hunter. It's absolutely not. And that was my whole thing. And she's kind of lost her mind. And so I kind of started tagging the original account that posted it and said, "So this is your point of contact? This is what you want to represent you? Like, because this is what you're going after." And the whole thing got deleted, but the actual caption, they deleted huntress out of it and did all this. And I don't want to say I wasn't trying to be a dick. There was definitely some of that in there, but it's also kind of like
from a point of truth. Yeah.
Like, come on. You want to say, "Hey, we're looking to add people to our organization to help promote this in our area of the country and promote the outdoors and help influence new hunters in this." Why didn't you say that versus, "We're looking for huntresses and females"?
I mean, it's like that.
Like, so why are you looking for me? Because I kill things. I mean, not a lot, but like, why are you looking for me? Oh, because there's not tits and ass involved. Like, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like there's plenty of organizations like the one that we're about to have on our podcast pretty soon. The Texas Women's Outdoor LLC, which is on Instagram. They're two written out, TWO 2021 Outdoors, and they're all about trying to get women into the outdoors. And there ain't a single picture on here of that you could even closely construe in any sexual manner whatsoever. It's all about girls in the outdoors, either teaching them how to hunt, getting them outdoors, and I have no problem. I mean, there's no problem at all with that. But if you're talking about a girl who has got a fish wearing a bikini and is pulling the Jordan duck bra off with
Here's my deal on that too. If you're wearing, boat shoes and a thong and a minimal top, but you're wearing a neck gaiter,
get fucked.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes,
I'm done. That means I'm done. Like, as soon as that appears, like, nah, we're done here. Like,
exactly.
Like, oh man,
I don't want to get my face all sunburned,
but not my ass cheeks. Like, what are you doing?
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Of that.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Oh.
But I just went and found that post, and it still, just says female hunters, and nobody else has commented, and I'm still blocked from that chick, and it's fine. I don't care. But why? Like, why put yourself in that position?
And I think that gets to the original point of what Matt was trying to say, which was
absolutely.
That's what the problem is, more than anything.
Well, and in general, like, if you're a dude or a chick on Instagram and you wake up specifically for duck hunting, because I always feel like duck hunting is a good point for this, and you shoot a limit and you're posing next to the limit that you shot and your makeup is freaking perfect, or your black face, like makeup, your black face paint is like perfectly in a perfect design that you like, crisp lines and a design,
you do
or
that at home.
whatever. Your let's say cowboy hat is like on perfectly, like, I mean, just everything looks clean. You're posing for this picture to make it look like uber, like I'm a country boy, I was raised this way, or like I am a chick that hunts, hear me roar, and you're trying to just be the epitome of that. Like, you're not doing it because you enjoy hunting. You're doing it for the attention.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's because, like, there's a lot of girls that we know and there's girls we hunt with that they show up, no makeup, look like just as haggard as the rest of us at 3 o'clock in the morning to show up at the boat ramp, and they hunt, you know.
A prime example. We went over to one of the members of our deer lease's house this weekend for his birthday. And so Lauren, the wife, she's put together. We were going to a birthday party, you know. She was not very nice. And she starts talking to a couple of their wives who she's seen in the woods once. And we left. She's like, they didn't recognize me at all until I was like, hey, I'm Lauren. They're like, oh my God. She's like, do I look that much different? And I was like, yeah. Like, how at the least you're wearing
You
Crocs
actually look pretty.
And like 7 layers of clothes, and you got 2 muddy ass dogs with you, and like, yes, you absolutely look different, which is
You're
fine.
staggering.
Like, but like, that's the point. Like, if everything looks perfect in all the hunting pictures and all this, it's bullshit. It's fake.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
It's got to be messy. I mean, which will probably start a trend of, them making sure it looks messy, but I don't think it will. Cause
have at it.
No, because you have too many people that try to get that perfect picture. I mean, they're
good pictures are cool.
Yeah, like
good pictures are few and far between.
But what I mean is, like, perfect picture in the fact of the person in the picture, like, is like super well put together. And I mean, if you're on a guided hunt and you look put together and you put on there, hey, I went on this super awesome guided hunt, it was very cush, all that stuff, I'm cool with that, like, because you obviously didn't wake up at 3 a.m. to go slaughter some ducks. You probably woke up at like 6 and walked out onto a deck that was, that's cool. I've been on those hunts. I love
great. It's hunts. Wonderful.
But like, when you
wake up at 12:30 like we did to go out and duck hunt.
Well, and most of them,
it's messy.
And this isn't like just female. I mean, I see dudes that do this too, that like
100%.
They make it look like a struggle. They tell a story that you're like, there is no way that there was any struggle if you're that clean and like you don't look tired. You look like you've had plenty of sleep. Like, come on, man. Just say you woke up at 6 and drove the boat for 20 minutes and shot a limit of ducks. That's a cool story too. I mean,
the amount of work that it probably went into to get to that point is the story,
Yeah,
that's the story. So
I don't know if I'm explaining that very good, but to circle back again, the whole thing is that like we live our lives on a
mile at a time.
Yeah. But we live our lives on a social platform that we constantly just try to one up one another. And it seems like it's more about that. Like, I mean, when we started out, we had people that were like berating us that we don't kill things. And the thing was we did kill things. We just didn't post it up at the beginning like most people did. They're like, hey, you guys, don't know what y'all talking about because y'all don't have a huge buck every 5 seconds on y'all's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it was. It's like, to be a little more cheesy about it, I'm more about the adventure. I much rather
the journey.
I much rather go like I've been on 2 elk hunts with Austin, and we weren't successful in those hunts, but I still look back on those hunts as one of my favorite hunts. I mean, it was great. It was a great time. There was a bunch of struggle, a bunch of funny stuff happened there. I mean, we still tell the stories about like what we saw. I mean, I told
Tree
a story
falling
earlier
that
today.
story.
Huh?
The
Bathtub
tree
meth.
falling. Of driving back, we'd driven way back deep from our spike camp to hunt, way back on this fire road, then hiked a while. Then we finally get back to the truck at dark, and we're driving back, windows down. We're going like 2 miles an hour because the road sucks. It's fire road, and we hear the like couple trees fall. And I said, "Man, what if one of those trees fell on the road?" And we laughed, and Jordan's like, "Don't say that shit." Next corner, tree fell in the middle of the road.
I think I said, "Don't you put that juju on me, Ricky Bob."
Yeah. No chainsaw, no chains.
No, 2-wheel drive pickup truck.
No, we were in 4x.
Well, yeah, we did. We took the
We
4x.
didn't have anything to
No
drag
chains, nothing to cut it. I mean, it was a big old tree too, and we had to we were the only ones out there. There's no one else around us, and we had to use a nice size limb as a leverage, a fulcrum, and we fulcrumed it over while one pushed the tree and the other one used the leverage to just hop all the way until it fell off the road and we could go back to our deer camp. And that was after we hiked up and down 9,000 feet in elevation. We started there, 10,000 back down. I mean, everybody's been on elk hunt in the mountains. I mean, just walking miles and miles and miles after no success, going back, and then
there's that family.
That was also one of my favorite pictures of me and Austin that I think is the epitome to explain our relationship together, is the picture of me all excited and you looking like,
get out of my face, asshole.
I can't believe I'm in the woods with a week with this idiot.
No.
And I mean, hell, in that orphan hunt when we were there, I was telling y'all earlier, I told that kid that, we only saw bucks. And I was like, man, me and my buddy went on this hunt. We were super excited. We had a cow tag in our pocket and we had a 6x6 elk stand 20 yards away from us, broadside. Let us discuss how big this deer was. I took my phone out of my pocket, made sure to get a good picture of this elk. And he just stood there. We could have pointed a gun at him and just dropped him. We had a 308 at 20 yards on a big ass elk, perfectly broadside. I mean, he was as broadside can get. There was no turning away.
As the Broadsiders.
I mean, it was, huh?
As the Broadsiders.
Yeah, good band, great band. But
Good band.
It was just, that's a crazy story, and I love it. It's one I tell often.
About the outdoors, it's about the adventure. That's for sure. And if you're in it for the social media, you're doing it for the wrong reason. So, what do you think about his statements he made about the overcrowding? What the hell is that?
That's Austin. He's got a thumb.
What about the thoughts about him saying social media is leading to overcrowding at trailheads?
I
don't disagree, but I mean, I don't have a pulse on the thumb, a thumb on the pulse of the West,
So is it an overcrowding issue or is it an access issue?
I mean, I my thought about it is that there's nobody, I really, how many people are we talking about are on social media and are deciding to go and hunt anywhere, right? Whether it's at a trailhead in the West, a boat ramp here in Texas, how many people are, I mean, have you just here, right? Just right here in our backyards, do you feel like you've seen more and more and more people at our boat ramps or just in the vicinity in the last 5 years?
I don't know.
I would say
I don't think I have.
maybe opening mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
like after that, like,
But I think
mean-
Texas is a different beast.
yeah, but here's my 2 cents on that. If you are an elk hunter that lives in Colorado or Montana or Wyoming or Arizona or Utah, you're not. I mean, you just decided to go elk hunting, and you found out you're going to do that from social media, and that's what you're going to go and do. Like, how many of those people exist?
I think there's something to it. Is it as big as he thinks it is? I don't know.
I think it's the fact of the matter is that, look, we've been, regardless of social media, people who are going to go elk hunt in the West are going to go elk hunt, and they're going to find a place, and they're going to go to that place, and that's where they're going to go. And you got to just, it's part of the game, you know?
So,
and I don't think social media is driving that.
I don't know. But I mean, look at draw odds. Those have changed.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people go. I'm saying Rogan and go hammer things, Haynes, have made it, so that everybody thinks they need to be doing it.
I guess I can't. My biggest thing is this: is if I am somebody who is, let's say I was a UFC fan only, I just enjoyed UFC, and that was why I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he started having hunting on. I mean, I live in Texas. Is that going to drive me to go hunt an elk?
I mean, do you not think the masses are wildly influenced by what people like him and the internet say? Look, I mean,
My biggest thing is this
out there. Look at coronavirus.
No, I 100% they think they're influenced. What I think the difference
everything
is
surrounding coronavirus is 100% influenced by what's just being said.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think
data lacking.
But I think those are two different.
I think you can translate that over. Like, it's the best meat. It's the best meat. You need to hunt elk, and Rogan kills these elk every year. And
yeah, but here's the deal.
Hunting ranches.
So I agree with you. But what I'm trying to say is the sheer logistical pull off of trying to go and do that is you're gonna watch a podcast or see a social media post and go, I'm gonna go do this now. How many of those people are out there? Right.
I think you underestimate like how many people are out there, and then the percentage of people that are out there that see this kind of stuff and they look at it as a challenge, B, a good way to get healthy meat. I really feel like where maybe Austin agrees with me, but like hunting is like the new, like almost like vegan type stuff where people like hear how healthy it is, how awesome it is. And you have to do this thing.
Elk hunting is for sure.
And then they go do it because it's like, oh, well, like I don't want to eat processed meat. I don't want to eat GMOs. I don't want to do all this stuff. And this is like the best meat because Joe Rogan told me this. And then they're going to go try. And there's a lot more ways to like figure out how to do this. There's some easy ass hunts out there for elk. Are you going to be successful? Maybe not. But the point is you're still going to at least go try it. And you might be in that same spot that you're trying to hunt elk. Because let's say you've been successful or close to be successful in that same spot. You've been going many years trying to get it. And then some guy doesn't know what he's doing. goes out just because he wants to hunt elk because he listens to the Joe Rogan podcast, 'cause that's what you're talking about, and just bumps all the elk out of the area while you're there trying to hunt. Are they going to be successful? No.
I just don't know how many people are doing, how many of those people are there that are just going out there because of that reason. That one guy who bumped those elk, how many of those guys are there? I don't think there's that many guys that are like that.
Well, okay.
I think there's a lot of people who are like Jared, who got into hunting here in Texas for whitetail, and then have graduated to going, I'm going to go hunt elk now.
Okay, let's put it this way.
I'm not saying you're going to do it, Jared.
Good.
You live instead of Texas, let's say you live in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Utah, one of these places. You already are in the outdoors and you camp and you hike and you do all this stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll go hike with a bow or a gun on my back this time and a certain time of year, which I'm already familiar with it, and go hunt an elk because I also like UFC and I'm from one of these places where to me that sounds easy. I see elk all the time when I'm out hiking.
Yeah.
You know, how many of those people are there? How many other people? Oh, I rock climb all over this area. And now that I hear Joe Rogan talk about this healthy stuff, or I'm on social media, and since I'm outdoorsy, social media automatically pushes the algorithm towards me to show me these people that hunt elk, let's say MeatEater, Cameron Haynes, all this stuff.
Our boy Russ Bynum.
I'm already in the woods. I already camp. I already do this stuff. What's so hard about taking a rifle with me?
No, but I mean,
how
guess
many people have said, got my first bow, ready to get into this? You see that constantly. I'm not knocking it necessarily, but I'm knocking it for not the right, for the right reasons. I'm not saying that correctly.
Well, I mean, I guess my biggest thing is social media that big of an influence on crowding of spots? I mean, we've seen a decline in the overall number of hunters and the number of licenses being sold every year. That's now tags and tag allocations and all that is, I don't think that those are new hunters necessarily. I think they're the me's and of the world and the you's of the world, which are people who have hunted for a while and are now moving into something different. They've hunted whitetails, they've hunted mule deer, now they want to try to hunt elk, or they've hunted ducks and they're now trying to hunt more ducks, or they're trying to go hunt ducks in South Dakota, they're trying to go hunt ducks in Montana or someplace like that, right? They're on the move. I think people are more on the move now, but I don't.
But do you think that has to do with,
I think more people are on the move because of all of social media.
That's what I was about to say. Like, you see Steve Rinella and you're like, I've already been a hunter for my entire life. And he's like, I'm up here in Wyoming hunting elk. And you're like, that looks cool. How many other people are hunters already that say, hey, that looks cool? And they go to Wyoming because he had a show about it, or someone post up like somewhere in Wyoming, here's with a big pronghorn.
I definitely feel that people do that.
So
I just don't think it's the problem I don't think it's the problem that Matt made it into be. I don't think that's what's causing overcrowding at a spot. I mean.
So my thing was, and the main thing, and I think this kind of goes what we're talking about. One of the points he made that really bothered me was him talking about wanting half of what is out there right now.
Yeah.
Hunting. But then here's the thing. Who do you have? Who do you axe? You know what I mean? How do you get the clout to be allowed to be part of the half that made it out of the cut? You know what I mean?
And not to mention, how can our model sustain removing what we already have in place from license, costs?
I mean, there's a lot of things that I'd have to see numbers on that kind of thing. But all I'm talking about, throwing the money out of there and like not even talking about that kind of stuff. But how do you like if you want half the people,
Everything goes to a
How do
special
you
draw.
how do you keep someone that
Everything.
watches an old movie, right? And they're like, I want to hunt, or when do you like say like, all right, well, you have a family of 5 brothers and sisters and your dad hunts and y'all all start hunting. Does not all those people make it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or is that okay? Like how do you, like your upbringing, where do you draw a line? Like I read a book and, I read Hatchet. I want to get more into this. You start checking out hunting and you're like, an elk hunt sounds awesome because I like the book Hatchet. And now I'm going to go try to elk hunt. Is that the best way to bring that up? Or you're at a party and someone happened to be talking about the elk hunt they went on, and then you want to go do an elk hunt? Which one of those is the one that you can't do?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the original form of social media, being at a party and someone being like, oh man, check this out. I shot an elk and it was really good. It tastes good. And this, that, and the other, like,
Yeah. I mean, and that's my kind of my take on it, is that I really just don't think I don't think that the number of people on a trailhead is being driven up by a social media post. People are lazy by nature, and so
people, just us.
no,
Sure.
that's awful generous of you. Most people are not going to want to go do that, right? They're going to stay put in their local area because they can't. I mean, most people can't do it. Or they get to go one time a year, and I just don't feel like that's what's crowding. I don't think that's the problem. I think part of the problem is that you have, you do have such restrictions on all these things, and things are so complicated for the draw system that it should be, there should be some over-the-counter units, and there should be some simplification of the way these draws work and these points work and how to get into them, so that people have an opportunity to say, okay, well, I'm going to put in for this draw, and they're not intimidated by it, instead of just going, I'm just going to go over the counter every year. And limit some of that exposure there. And so I think the fact of the matter is social media is not contributing to the fact that people are just stacked up at a trailhead, because it's too much work. If you're from Colorado, yeah, maybe, I guess, yeah, but
that's what we're talking about.
But I don't think that that's the majority of, I don't think that that's the problem,
I don't disagree with it, but I also don't think us being in DFW, we have the pulse on the West.
Well, it's the same thing for boats here. It's the same thing for duck hunters. I mean, what would be the difference?
A lot.
Why?
How many? There's so many lakes in Texas. Everybody's got a boat. The only, how many guys have we seen out who just have a pop-up boat blind and a outboard, who just kind of run out there and pop up their blind like, I didn't see any ducks.
Yeah, but isn't that the same person that we're talking about who shows up at a trailhead and starts wandering around the woods in the middle of the afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
But how many people we talked to? We were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get into duck hunting. I'm into duck hunting. I want to start duck hunting. Lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they actually gonna do it? Who knows? Why do they want to do it? I'll bet $100 it's for social media. Why else would a random person want to start duck hunting nowadays? Maybe that's not fair because I'm old. I didn't want to start duck hunting because social media, because there was no duck hunting on social media when I started duck hunting.
Mine was purely social. I mean, Wes got me. He invited me out on my first dove hunt out of his family's ranch, and I never had hunted before. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I'll hang out with my buddy." And then I killed
like dove hunting.
And I was like, "This tight." But yeah, social media didn't get me into it, but definitely became a driving factor for me. So I couldn't comment on if that's what's driving people these days to get into hunting.
I think it is.
And
I still think it is.
I mean, I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm not too sure that I can't say that it is or is not. I've got no idea. There might be guys just like us who are sitting around and maybe say, Austin, you're the only hunter out of the group of four of us, and you're like, hey, dude, check out this shit I saw on Instagram. And we all start looking at it. We're like, oh, that looks cool. Maybe that snowballs from that or something. And it's still somewhat of a social thing that you kind of instigated as our, friend. Like, hey, dude, check, I do this shit on the weekends. Come do it with me. And then, personal reasons at any of our courts could have been like, oh, hell yeah, dude, look at this shit on Instagram. That's fucking cool, man.
I mean, I guess my evidence is the fact that the number of hunters and the number of licenses is reducing. The number of actual hunting license issued has reduced. Has gone backwards.
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whose numbers?
I mean, let's do a quick Google search here. But the number of licenses issued, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
Is that because coronavirus has killed half of the U.S.?
Exactly.
I'm just asking.
So I also think, Abe, that us looking at Texas, being from Texas, we might not see an increase at a public boat ramp.
But we're hunting limited lakes.
Well, not just that, but like what I'm saying is Texas, most of the people have a buddy that have a lease that they're allowed to go maybe shoot a doe on, or they're going to go get on a lease somewhere. Like there's probably not a lot of people in Texas that are going to go just schlock through and hunt whitetail on public land. You're 100% right about that. I think what you're talking about is what we see here in Texas, which is what it sounds like. But going somewhere like the major states, which is what Matt is from, is one of the major states people go to. Like when you talk about elk hunting,
Michigan.
Well, where he lives now, he doesn't live in
Montana.
Michigan.
But here's the deal. Okay, so you
Montana
tell me.
Montana is one of the main ones on social media. People talk about Montana, Wyoming, Colorado.
No doubt.
There's a lot that are like
Idaho.
great hunts, this thing. So I can see an issue him seeing personally an increase in his state.
But the increase would not be from in-state hunters.
Why?
The increase would be from out-of-state hunters.
In Montana, yes, because Bozeman is one of the fastest growing cities right now. Huh?
So, Abe, 2020 saw a right at 3 million increase. 2021 saw a less than a 500,000 decrease, but you could call that a rounding error, a correction over the people in 2020 jumping outdoors because they were locked up all of 19 and wanted to do shit. So a less than 500,000 decrease, not a thing.
Let's see here. Hunting license data. Let's look at the. Okay.
And my point, I kind of froze up my internet for a second. The point I was trying to make about, like, it's not just out of state hunters, it's people moving to Montana that would be out of state hunters, but they get in Montana and then start hunting because that's the cool place to go right now.
Yeah, but I'm once again just thinking, you're saying that these people who, I just don't think, how many people moving to Montana from LA are going to hunt because they're moving to Bozeman or from Encino or from Menlo
Most people are
Park.
moving out of Texas to get away from LA people moving to Texas.
Yeah. Okay. So you move to Texas and you move to Montana. I moved to Montana. Cameron moves to Montana. How many Camerons are there in the world? Right?
I think a lot more than you give credit to.
Ask the BLM group. He's woke.
He's woke.
Who?
Can you see this?
All right.
So BLM, you mean banging local MILFs?
Yes, obviously.
Number of hunting licenses tagged in the United States. Okay, so
Major influx in 2020, obviously. Makes sense.
yeah,
Slight correction makes 100% sense. Because of the 3 million people who bought licenses in 2020, not all those people like actually gave a shit. They were just bored.
but
So
to me
less
this
than-
show. But so to me this is exactly the thing, right? We're not seeing any increase in the number of licensing of
3
license sales.
million.
But that's because of the coronavirus.
And you said there's a massive fall off. There's a 300,000 correction, which is nothing.
So there's not a giant fall off, I'll give you that. But there's not a growing number of licenses being issued.
What?
It's not like it's gone from 5 to 10 to 20 to 25,000, 20,000.
Okay.
Since 2014, it's been a steady increase.
And then to go, I mean, there's an obvious
How?
reason why it jumped by 3 million between 19 to 20, but to see that it's still the
Look at the
fluctuation
trend line, Abe.
between 20 and 21, I mean, that's still about 3 million more people who wanted to get into hunting. And is this just hunting or fishing?
Yeah.
This is just hunting. That many more people were still into it the next year.
And where are they getting their interest when it spikes with the coronavirus?
Social
They're
media.
all sitting at
Social
home
media.
looking at social media.
But what am I
Yeah,
gonna do?
I guess
I gotta get out of this house. I'm
This is
bored. I've
data.
been here for months. What
Or
do
I can go somewhere where no one else is and do something. It looks cool on my social media feed.
This is why state parks, even like parks and just outdoor activities like that,
100%
they
booked all the time.
they saw increase in visitation to their parks to where you have to start making reservations just to enter a state park, and that's just in Texas.
well, I mean, I'm not saying I think that has to do exclusively with the coronavirus.
Okay, then why didn't we see a massive fall off?
So I'm saying is
Because there was no mess. I mean, we're not over it yet.
So you're saying those people saw it on social media because they were locked down with coronavirus. Now they're hooked. So you didn't get a fall off because we're still in it. You think that when
Abe, you're bad at
on,
reading
they're going to
data.
be like, oh, because like it's not fun, right?
I was not very good in
fun.
debate club.
You know what I mean?
If-
My brother's the lawyer. He'll have to argue this point for us.
But
For
so
you.
you saw this.
You just pawned off your argument for your brother. I'm thinking my brother to fight y'all. He's good at this.
My brother's way bigger than y'all.
You saw this 3 million increase, 19 to 20. Makes 100% sense. But everything's not locked down anymore, man. It hasn't been.
No.
Mhm.
Especially in the western states. So if it wasn't being influenced by something, if there wasn't a drive to put new people in the woods, shouldn't this have immediately dropped back off to, well, I don't know, call it 35. Hell, call it 37. But it didn't.
Yeah.
It's popular right now.
Because of
It's
social
not-
media. I
what
keep
reason?
telling y'all this.
I mean, it looks like every 4 years or 5 years, there's a correction, give or take.
It drops back down. But it hovers anywhere from 34 to 37 on average.
Look at the
36.
correction data, though. It's 4 to 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's about an average of 35 million hunters in the country since 2004.
Sure.
What happened in 2009? Was that the economic collapse?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy.
a shocking number.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think it's contributing to a crowding situation. I don't. I think it's contributing to a lot of the things we've talked about, but I just don't think there's that many people that live in a specific state that scroll back up. Oh, this is the most popular activity. I don't think that it is. I don't think there's a bunch of people from the state of Texas who are getting on social media and figuring out and trying to go hunt who've never done it before, going hunting in Colorado.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who is, I mean, but I just don't think that that's
The only one?
what's that?
You think you're the only one?
No, I don't think I'm the only one. I just don't think there's a lot of us that are doing that.
I mean, but you're looking at just Texas, but I mean, there's tons of other states that, and it doesn't just have to be like non-hunters. It can be people that hunted all their life in California, and they're like, you know what? I want to go try this because I saw it on social media. Montana's a hot ticket. Let's go.
I guess I just think that the person who is going to hunt
New York.
elk,
People from New York,
from
Maine.
to me, you get fewer and fewer people the further you move east in that regard because it's harder and harder to logistically pull off.
Why?
What?
I mean, think about if you
Steve
lived
Burnell
in.
lived in New York and flew out to Montana and all
Have you
over
not
the
heard
place
people
to
who
hunt.
fly over to Africa to go do hunting?
I mean,
And
we're
there's-
not talking about. Come on, guys, we're not talking
no,
about those
but
people.
you're looking at this wrong.
But I'm saying, like,
you're only saying the West is the only place you can hunt.
No, I don't think that that's. But you said that in our little neck of the woods, you don't seem to see that.
I never, but I also made the point of those are limited access lakes we're hunting. That's the only thing we're talking about.
Plus, who's out here going like, dude, man, North Texas
Is
we're
the place to
limits.
be.
There's tons of guys out here. My buddy shot limits. I shot limits. Their friends shot limits. My neighbors shot limits. Everybody on this lake shot limits. Like, no one's doing that, but like it is that way. Like, I don't know, down on the coast of Texas, Louisiana.
It do
Look at
be
the
like
people you
that.
saw. Look at the guides you saw in Louisiana and how much those guides were like, man, I'm stacking it in. I had X amount of dudes on this field, X amount of dudes on this field. This field, they were talking about being stacked up for the whole season. Just having people come in and hunt ducks in Louisiana.
But that's not contributing to the problem of overcrowding on a public boat ramp or a public trailhead, which is the topic of conversation here.
You don't know that those people aren't hunting otherwise.
What?
What?
Huh?
Huh?
The question was, is social media driving crowding at a trailhead
But if
or
it
on
happens,
public land access?
Okay. Well,
But if it happens in
your
one
argument was
place, why can't
purely
it
for the
happen in
West,
another?
and now you shifted it to boat ramps.
I've been talking
ramp.
about this, the fact that I'm like, I think that this is not a thing. I don't think it's isolated to just the West. I think it is. I think it's. I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's as a contributing factor. I
But
think
your argument continues to be, until you just shifted it, was hunting elk in Colorado and Montana.
yeah, you were talking.
I don't think that social media is the driving factor for Colorado and Montana,
I'm
Wyoming
I'm not
having
saying
more
no
and
one
more
said
crowded.
driving factor, but is it a factor?
I don't think it's as big of a factor as it's being made out to be.
So what's the factor?
That's fair.
I think the factor is people like us who are active hunters who are wanting to do it, and social media has no bearing on that.
Okay, so
But part of his argument was also, I want half the hunters are anyways.
Well, I mean that
goes
I
right
don't.
into
I
what
don't.
you're
I think
saying.
that's. I don't think that's a thing. I mean, that's stupid to me.
so the last
I'm
time
not
you were in
saying it's not.
Montana,
We're at talking points.
so the last time you were in Montana, you noticed that there wasn't that much of an increase of the trailheads.
No, I've never been to Montana, but in Colorado,
So
I went to
in
more
Wyoming?
trailheads and looked at different
last time I
spots that I'd never
Wyoming,
seen before, but it didn't seem as if there were more people there were not more people at our spot this year than there was.
Your spot's way different, dude. Like, there's not going to be a lot of people going to that location.
I mean,
You know,
but
And he's
here's my thing:
specifically-
what is social media doing to blow up a spot? I mean, if I'm looking at,
I'm talking about a state. Colorado,
Okay.
like no one gives a shit about Colorado anymore because everyone talks about it. That's
All
the
of Texas gives a shit
hiatus.
about Colorado.
Huh?
all that's in
of
Colorado is people from Texas.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just said. I said no one else gives a shit about it. Texas, that's our go-to everything. So everybody talks about, like, everybody from Texas goes here, and then you see guys like big names on social media don't like really talk about like, oh, I'm going to Colorado. A lot of it's Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, those states, and even like a little bit in New Mexico. I see a lot more of that than just Colorado. Now, people I follow that are from Texas, I know go there. And I don't know. I'm just kind of
Here's the deal. Okay, so here's the logic that I have been following Joe Rogan on social media. I've decided I now want to hunt elk. Well, that doesn't give me what I got to do. And not to mention, the fact of the matter is, if I'm that person, I'm taking the path of least resistance to go hunt elk. Now, for me in Texas, the easiest place to get to from a travel standpoint is Colorado. It is also the easiest state to go hunt elk in because it has the most over-the-counter units available to it. So if you are a brand new hunter, then you're going to be going to a state like Colorado, more so than you're going to Wyoming. Montana has some over-the-counter units. Idaho has some over-the-counter units. But the easier state to go hunt in is Colorado, because there's more units to go and do it in. So if anything, Colorado should see more of an impact in that, in uptick in trailhead.
So the one weekend you went to Colorado, you didn't notice an uptick.
No.
Okay.
I've only been 2 years, so I don't really have a great frame of reference.
All the other over-the-counter units, you went and checked all those too and noticed an uptick or not an uptick?
I don't know. Not where I was at.
Do you look at the ones closer to New Mexico and the ones of the southern and northern of Colorado to see an uptick?
In the spots that I was in, the people who run the lodges that I talked to, they didn't see an uptick in business. It's par for the course.
So you think that the people that are doing the uptick, that know that they can go over the counter and don't want to try it with the guide because they don't want to pay that money, the guides that know that kind of business?
I think we're shifting the argument again off of, is there an uptick in hunting in the West? And that's not the argument. The argument is social media driving that uptick. And I don't think social media is what's driving that uptick.
Going over the counter without a guide, all this DIY stuff on social media wouldn't drive the guides to get more business. They would probably actually see a loss because people are like, oh, maybe I'll try it by myself because that look cool. That's a pretty good bragging right on social media too.
Sure.
Look how many likes that guy got because he said DIY Colorado elk hunt.
I don't think social media is the driving factor on that.
I mean, cool.
How many people do you personally know that didn't hunt, got into hunting, and then did something based on social media?
I don't talk to people.
I really don't look at social media.
So a buddy of mine that got into hunting, then saw stuff on social media and got really into that pertaining to hunting.
Is that the question? Are you verifying?
Is that your question?
Yeah, I'm basically saying, like, how many people do you see just got into hunting because of social media?
I don't know.
It may have been gas to the fire, but the fire was already there. You know,
Oh, we
I
didn't
think there's a lot of
fire.
people who get into it for not long. Okay, maybe lots at stretch. I think there's people who get into it and realize like, oh, this isn't as fun or as easy as I thought it was.
that's not contributing to that's not, those people aren't causing overcrowding.
But
you
I
know?
don't. I think we're looking at two different arguments. Like I said earlier,
Oh, I think that
social media
this argument has been
yes.
all over
Is
the
it
map in
driving?
true Stormwater Creek fashion.
Do what?
I feel like this argument's been all over the map in true Stormwater Creek fashion.
I don't think he necessarily made the argument that social media is 100% contributing to overcrowding. He made the argument that social media is bad for hunting because it puts people in the woods that should are only in the woods for the pictures and not for everything personal about it.
Yeah.
Which I 100% agree with.
I guess I
also think it can contribute to some overcrowding, but I can also agree with you that it's probably not contributed that much overcrowding. But I think it puts more people in their local woods who are only trying to do it for the likes. I would be willing to bet that wanton waste and all these lawsuits that are going around with influencers who are leaving animals, which is putting people in the woods for nothing more than the likes, which rolls all back together, which could be contributed to overcrowding because you're only in it for the likes. So you can tie it all back together to circle back.
You fiery little redhead.
Just saying.
I hate her more than anything else on this planet.
I'm not far behind you.
Like, she's the worst.
The worst.
The absolute worst. We're talking about the
press secretary.
Press secretary for the president of the United States.
Jen Psaki, whatever.
Psaki or Psaki.
Yeah.
She's the worst.
The worst.
Every time I see her talk, I just, right here.
So, I mean, look at all these influencer poaching lawsuits. Look at all these influencer wanton waste lawsuits.
Yeah.
Look at all the, that's,
but I think, but like I said, that's
generated.
I think we've talked about this. I feel like that's a different argument altogether. I just don't feel like people are getting like spun up to go out and do this, where it's like, oh, there's a new guy at the trailhead every year now because he saw elk hunting on social media.
We don't know that.
So I guess my main point is that I really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't speak on that because where I live, I don't notice it because no one really wants to hunt where I hunt. Like most of the people I talk to, including our friends that we talk to, they don't want to go because they're not going to play a game where the other team doesn't show up.
But I guess how do you know that unless you've gone and you go and hunt?
Because people only have this idea of, there's a big idea of hunting. It was I'll go out and I'll do this, but there's a lot of going out and doing nothing, as we're all very familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. What I'm saying to you is that
you're taking your failures and your experiences and your knowledge and overlaying them into the general public, which is horrible logic.
That's not what I'm doing at all.
And I'm not faulting you for it.
I'm doing quite the opposite.
No, you just said they don't know because they haven't done it.
So if they didn't know, then there would be a lot of people
doing it is built on social media.
Here's my point, right? And here's my point. That I don't know if I am a person who does not know what I know, and that we know that it's the struggle that it is, right?
I know that you know that I don't know that you know.
Exactly. But I might know, but I don't know. But he knows that I don't know.
If I don't know that because I've just looked at social media and that's where all of my information is coming from, and I live in Dallas, what am I going to, and I want to get into hunting, what am I going to go and do? I'm going to go
hunt.
The
exact friend who's in the exact situation you're speaking of.
But he did, and he got all of his information from social media, and he went out to a lake to go hunt, and now that is contributing to overcrowding. He went out they go out one time.
We dropped the overcrowding bit. We dropped that.
But that's my whole argument.
But though these are two separate arguments. We've already said that.
Yeah.
We're talking about overcrowding is one thing, but we have already all agreed that we don't think we see it here, but we're also not prime trophy territory for anything.
But here's the deal: if you were getting into hunting,
can't comment on overcrowding in fucking Colorado because
yeah,
I don't
no,
know
I mean,
that.
I don't. I'm using the microcosm of it's not really happening here, so it's probably not happening there.
Which is a horrible logic train.
Because
there's no giraffes in my backyard. Giraffes don't exist.
That's not at all what I'm saying.
Absolutely is.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not happening here. It must be not happening.
But the fact of the matter is that if you're going to see, wouldn't you see increases of crowding in major metropolitan areas where most people are using social media?
No.
Why? If I live in Dallas and I saw social media, if I was getting into hunting due to social media,
social media isn't. Oh man, Lake Grapevine's the place to do it. You're seeing all these other places, so you make a plan to go there.
So
we're still arguing two separate points.
And the other fact of the matter is, Abe, that I was trying to point you to is the fact that most people that see that stuff on social media, they want that same glory that they see in the other people.
Immediate gratification.
Like, I went in my backyard and shot this, white-tailed deer. They want to go, I went to Kansas and shot a white-tailed deer because that's the guys I follow, shot a big old buck.
Or they go to an outfitter,
Kansas,
which is great.
Yeah.
Go do that. If you're into that, 100%, go do that. If you don't have access and want to decide if you can hunt, go do that.
That's fine. I think that it's not causing a problem. And I don't think that that's what's driving people to the outdoors and causing overcrowding.
No, that's two separate points. Again, driving to the outdoors and driving to overcrowding are two separate points.
I can 100% agree that
it was two social media is out of his mouth.
Social media is pushing people outdoors. That's 100% true.
And that's
I don't think it is directly contributing to overcrowding.
But we also have agreed that we don't know.
It doesn't seem to be making an effect in my backyard. That's all I can say.
But you also live in the super shitty area to hunt.
But how would somebody know that if they...
Because they follow us on social media.
Because you social media.
They're like, I definitely don't want to go where those guys hunt.
Yeah, but I mean, if you follow,
Why did you pick Colorado to go hunt?
Because it's the easiest state to go to.
Okay, but there's elk in Texas.
But I can't hunt elk. I can't afford to go do that.
Okay.
I'd hate to crowd those public lands in Texas.
There's public land elk in West Texas.
Because it's not.
Because social media and everything you read online said Colorado.
People you talk to.
Because logistically, it was the easiest thing to go and do.
It's better than West Texas.
Of course it is.
Hey, of course. That's a bold statement. Of course it is.
Well, I mean, seeing how there's,
why didn't you pick
probably
New Mexico? Why have you never
25 wild elk in West Texas?
New Mexico is closer than Colorado.
Because I can't hunt elk every year.
But you haven't tried once.
I don't want to have to follow the rules.
You don't want to because internet told you to go to Colorado.
Because I wanted to find the easiest place.
I'm showing you how this works.
But social media is not what drove me to Colorado.
I didn't say social media, I said the internet.
But that's not part of the argument.
It 100% is. Why did you go to Arizona?
Social media is causing overcrowding.
Why didn't you go to Arizona?
There's two arguments here. That social media is causing overcrowding on public land, and I don't think that's true.
You can't roll. You don't logically think you can roll any any hunting forums into social media.
I'm not talking about social media.
Where you're trying to pick and choose what is social media for the sake of an argument.
Yeah.
Social media is Instagram, Facebook.
False. So YouTube. Social media is the internet. So Texas bow hunter is not social media. There's no.
Do I have to jump in finally now and say now we're just fucking ping ponging back and forth same?
These are honest questions. You don't think Texas bow hunter is social media?
I don't classify that as social media.
Why? Because you don't choose to?
No, because I don't classify internet forums as social media.
Why? It's social.
A forum like that.
What's the difference?
Because here's the deal. So is Google social media?
I'm not interacting with another person directly.
I mean,
but
you could. Okay, so I guess
Social
if
is
that's
the,
the
key
classification
word
that
here.
social media is just an interaction between two people,
Sure.
that's
On
all
the
that
internet.
you're classifying it is.
Is
But-
it social
but even on a
social
book
media?
forum-
It's you're exchanging media with other people. That is a forum. I'm not
Right.
knocking forums. I'm trying to classify.
No, I mean, there's no knock here on that.
You're saying just social media and Facebook, whereas I can say social media is any of these forums. Reddit is 100% social media.
Yeah.
Texas Bowhunter, 100% social media. Instagram, 1000%.
Oh, that's
Facebook, Twitter, it's all social media.
all social media.
It's different. It's
But that's
different
but
lipstick on a
those
different
items
pig.
are not what I chose. Those items are not why I chose to go to Colorado.
Websites and
Okay.
applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. Sounds a lot like that website you were talking about.
What up, Jared? Hey, little puppy. We're now seeing Jared's new daughter.
Nelly, come here.
So
Nelly,
everybody's showing their pictures of puppies. No, I think that social media is 100% contributing to more hunters or hunters doing things in the woods. I don't think it's causing overcrowding.
Okay, we're still talking about two different points. You're looping.
I know, but I'm trying to say that I agree with you on the one point that social media is driving people to the outdoors.
Sure.
I disagree with the fact that it is causing overcrowding in the outdoors.
And I can possibly agree with that. It's not. I don't know. All I've said is I don't know.
Yep.
And I can only speak to what I see in my backyard.
And your backyard is like the penguins
It's a
don't exist
cesspool.
because they're not in our backyard. That's the same logic.
Mhm.
It's 100% the same logic.
But if I don't
Because-
know anything
because I
about
can't
hunting because
see
I'm
it-
brand new to social media, then I don't know that
Because I
Dallas
can't
is
see
not
it,
as.
it doesn't exist. And I'm only saying that as devil's advocate. That's the same logic. Because I don't see it in my backyard, it doesn't exist. You just said that.
No.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what you said.
But what I'm saying is that what is going on is the fact that if somebody is brand new to hunting, then they are not. They're probably their first hunting trip is probably not to pack the car up and go to Colorado or New Mexico or Wyoming.
Absolutely. They're
to
going
go
hunt on
do
a
that.
friend or they're going to hunt on friend or family's place. Absolutely.
Or they're going to go hunt on public land.
Absolutely.
And they're going to figure out one time that it doesn't, that it's
Sure.
not like it is on social media, and they're not going to fucking go back again.
Sure.
Which
I
is
haven't
why
disagreed with-
people are being driven to the
I
outdoors
haven't
by social
disagreed with any
media,
of this.
but there's no overcrowding because people figure out how hard it is
But
and they don't go
saying
back and do
there's
it.
no overcrowding because I don't see it in my backyard is the same logic as I don't see it.
I never said there was no overcrowding. I just don't think social media is what's causing that.
Jared Jordan, did he not
All
just
right, who's got the bigger prick, huh? Come on, let me see him. Who's got the bigger prick?
I never once said that overcrowding on public land was an issue. That is
No, I
not is a
didn't think you said
non-issue.
You said your exact words were, I don't think overcrowding's an issue because I haven't seen it in my backyard.
I said that social
That's what you said.
media is
That's
not
legit.
driving
Those
overcrowding.
No,
And
that's
I
not
don't-
all what you said.
That's 100% what I said.
Well, as always, want to thank everybody for listening this far into this podcast.
Yes.
If you guys are, ready for it, we're going to have our first public forum, Abe versus Austin, on the effects of social media and hunting.
Stormwater Creek Fight Night.
Oh God.
I'll beat the coronavirus out of you.
In no way, shape, or form was your incoherent rambling.
Yes.
We are all now dumber for what you said. I award you no points. God have mercy on your soul. Oh, Nelly, you savage.
Nelson.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys can get into an argument with yourselves on whether you feel social media.
Really,
is
all
the
the
devil.
it's MeatEater episode 304. If you have not listened to it, the segment where Matt jumps in and they discuss this, and the very passionate discussion they have is a good listen. I think what is it, about an hour 20 in or so?
Yeah, about an hour 30 in.
Yeah.
I'll say one last thing on this before we wrap up.
At
Which
the end of the
is-
day, it's my podcast.
I love the fact that how Steve and Matt are clearly fine with fighting each other, but all of Steve's lackeys, they get pissed real fast about Matt bringing that up.
Don't be mean to my boss.
Yeah, exactly. How dare you?
Yep.
Because the fact that Matt just straight up calls MeatEater like, what you people do here is exactly the problem. That's like saying your brother's in the car wash business and you think car wash businesses are driving are causing global warming.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Good episode.
It's a good one for sure. So
I even listened to it.
Right. Well, thanks everybody for listening through our family feud of social media, which has inspired our argument. Make sure you follow us on social media.
Yes.
So you can see just how easy it is to go hunting.
Oh,
Figure it out. You're going to, quit your overcrowding. Don't be a douche. And thanks for listening to the podcast.
Boat ramp
Storm
etiquette.
drain out.
Have boat ramp etiquette.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Did you see the meme where there's this dude who's just basically like, I've seen taking your time on a boat ramp, but this is a whole nother level of douchery. And it's just the dude who set up all of his duck decoys stringing out, starting at the boat ramp.
That's good.
All right, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
or night.
Okay, bye.
Whatever.
Stormwater Creek is the best. Grinch, the captain. Abe, the helper. Jordan, the problem solver. I hope you like Stormwater Creek. Stormwater Creek.